So what I'd like each person to do is, in this room, if you guys all could somehow record your answers to these questions, because I want you to be able to discuss them. I want you to all to think about one thing that you will do differently, in order to be committed to social justice journalism. And this may be, if you're not going into journalism, it may be something on a communications front, it may be something just as a news consumer. But one thing that you will do differently as a result of what you've heard here today in all the conversations. And then I also want you to think about one thing that you can do institutionally. So it might be the institution of Kent State. It might be a newsroom that you're hoping to join and maybe get some change there. It might be a professional organization that you're part of, or a student media association or organization that you're a part of. But one thing on an institutional level that could be done differently in order to advance the cause of social justice journalism. So I'm going to give you like 30 seconds, and then I'm going to ask some people to share, and I'll call on people. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, right. They can do it on their phone. I tweet to myself all the time. That's good. Oh, right. Remind them of this. How many? Mm-hmm. Well, maybe they found it through Poynter, though.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. All right. Do we have the microphones? Okay. You can volunteer, or I will start calling on people. Personally and institutionally, what's one thing that you will do differently? All right, you're all like avoiding eye contact with me. I totally know this. Why don't I just ask my mic runners to pick people? So, you guys ready? How about this woman in the yellow sweater right here in this row? Yep, you. Yeah. Yeah.
So for me personally, I think that I need to keep more of an open mind and consider what matters to other people. I mean, until today, I didn't really understand the whole undocumented citizens movement. So I think that's a great way to contribute to social justice, by just understanding what else matters to other people.
All right, and what about institutionally? That's a harder one.
I didn't really get that far, but I think you could apply the same thing.
Okay, all right. My other mic runner. You gotta just hand the mic to someone and say, "You're up." It is, yeah. Uh-huh.
I didn't write that down, but I was thinking of something. One of my biggest issues is that if some people like to minimize oppression, like if I don't feel that oppression, I can't say that that person doesn't feel that oppression. So that's something that's been bothering me lately, and so I think that's something I would want to advocate for, and I'm working on doing so.
So does that mean you're going to stop doing that yourself, or when you see other people doing that, you're going to call them out on it?
Call them.
Okay.
And probably, I'm sure I've done it in the past. I'm not on purpose, more an accident. So it's definitely something I need to keep tabs on too.
Okay. All right. I would love to hear if anybody has an institutional change that they're going to work on. In the very back. Keep talking. Except they can't hear you online if you shout.
It's the bottom button, you gotta hold the bottom button. Like for like 2 seconds.
There you go.
There we
Good
go.
job.
So I think institutionally, one of the biggest things you can do is pitch stories, because something that you see from your point of view, other people in the newsroom might not see or think of. And, you're, as an individual, it's, your job to speak up when you see something that's not being covered, or have a story idea. And I think that's like something we can all do in every newsroom. And then personally, I said that I would stop and think about the language I use when I write, because I'm a television producer, and half the time I'm just trying to get on the air every day, and I'm not thinking about whether I'm calling someone illegal or not. I'm just writing. And I think that's something I can really stop and think about.
That's good. Those are both really good. Thank you so much for sharing those. Somebody else. An institutional change that you can make based on what you heard today. How about in the very back row? Go find somebody back there. I just got here.
I kind of came in a little late, so I guess I missed the first 15 minutes or so. But I think maybe maybe a little off of what she's saying, if you are doing those stories, maybe not to make them so opinion-based. I think sometimes giving certain sensitivity to certain issues makes it so that it almost fuels the fire a little bit, which might be a little bit of a different opinion than others, but I think people should be forming their own opinions anyways, not to put things in people's heads and whatnot. I think both institutionally and personally.
I think another way of saying that is when you do a piece, when you do a story, it has to be quality. Right? Like you have to bring the sourcing, bring the reporting, and do it at the top level. And a lot of times, I get it, especially when you're in college, you're pulled in a million different directions because you've got your student media that you're trying to produce, and you've got a gazillion courses that you're trying to keep up with, and then maybe you've got a side hustle that you're also working on. But the thing is that all of those deserve your attention and quality. And when you do something that is half-baked, you almost always perpetuate whatever type of problem you're trying to address. So, all right. Well, let me tell you guys something that I thought of. When I was talking with Jose, and the idea of him being such a high-achieving person, right? Somebody who everything that he set out to do, he did at a really, really high level. What if I had done that? I started out this morning by talking about this moment where I was pitching the idea of a social justice beat with my editor, and it was more than 15 years ago. It was probably 20 years ago. What if I hadn't let that drop? What if I had spent more than just that one meeting trying to make that happen? It's possible that I could have been one of the leaders in a newsroom to be at the forefront of this conversation, that I would have dragged my entire newsroom, leapfrogging them ahead of the rest of the industry. It's possible that I could have had that effect. And I didn't. I didn't do that because I got distracted by something else, and because I found another single good story to cover instead of trying to change things institutionally. And I wasn't an editor in this newsroom, but I believe that if I had stuck with it, and it might have taken me a year, it might have taken me 2 years, I might have had to do it as like a side beat and then prove that there was interest in it. And I might have tried really hard and failed, which would have hurt worse than just having an initial rejection, right? If I had spent 2 years working on it and then still hadn't been able to successfully bring it into our beat structure as an official beat recognized by the newsroom. But I wish that I'd tried. Because when I look back now on the opportunity that I had then, I had a good idea. And I didn't have any external validation except for one individual that was a good idea. But I believed in it, but I didn't believe in it enough. I didn't believe in it enough to take any sort of personal risk. And if you look at the decision that Jose made at the point that he came out as an illegal immigrant, he jumped in with both feet. He believed that he needed to go public and that he needed to try and change the conversation in America. And he took great, great personal risk to do that. And that may be the best opportunity that we all have to make a change, is that we find the places where it will take great personal risk for us to make a change. We will expend capital with the people that will help advance or not advance our careers. We will get a reputation in an organization for being somebody who's always a little bit of a pain in somebody's side. I'm trying to keep it PG here. You know, but those are choices that we make. And they're choices that I feel like we don't make enough. We get into journalism because we like being rabble-rousers, and then suddenly we stop doing that within our own organizations because there are consequences to it, and because sometimes it takes a lot of energy. But if we really care, if this really is an opportunity for us to do social justice journalism in a way that restores the reputation of journalism to what it was in the 1960s during the civil rights movement, then it's going to take more than just a couple of leading organizations. It's going to take really strong individuals in every single organization that does journalism throughout the country. And so if you guys are walking into newsrooms, you have a job to do. And if you're going to do it well, then it's going to take personal risk. So I guess that's what I'd leave you with, is that as you go forward, think about that and be willing and committed to taking that risk and getting uncomfortable and risking personal advancement, salary, and the kinds of things that reward you personally, so that you can change an organization, and in doing so, maybe change the conversation in a community. So those are my closing words.
Oh my gosh, Katie, it happened to me too. For the first time in the history of me ever talking ever, we're done early. It's astonishing. And for all of my colleagues out there, right? Okay, so 2 things. We are finished for the day, and I am so grateful that you were here to share this event with us. I still need your salmon-colored evaluations. And someone pointed out to me that there may be some confusion about what's least favorite and most favorite. So it's like number 1 is least favorite, number 4 is most favorite. So, please be sure you wrote what you meant to say, on the things. We will appreciate all of these comments because I will start working on the next workshop on Monday. So we do appreciate that. I would like to thank, once again, the School of Journalism, Thor, the College of Communication, Amy, all of the sponsors, the Beacon Journal, PRSA, the Knight Foundation, and Poynter, of course, Kelly, all the people who came through a shutdown airport last night and elsewhere to be here with us. Please let us give them another round of applause. and all the helpers on the planning committee. Yes, there is ZD in your future. I will be happy to talk to anybody who still wants to hang around. There's some of these people are still here, and we, for once, do not have to rush to the airport. So we thank you very much, and thank you for being here.